Sir, please explain the spot sciences at the spine.
Okay. Scott's kinetics and kinematics at the spine. Right? Prior engaging any client in Scott, you should make sure you have considered some factors. Those factors which are very crucial to save your client from injuries, right? So what are the factors you need to consider? Right? So firstly, type of loading. You must understand what exercise of squatting you are applied to your client, whether it's overhead squat or whether it is one leg squats, lunges or a regular squats, right? So accordingly you will understand the forces, how they are acting onto the spine, right? Now let's understand one force that is called axial force. Right? The axial force or compression, right? Then you may experience one more force, whereby a client is too much rounding or bending at the lumbar. That is called bending force. Right? What would be the next? Lunge position, right? Some people tend to do one leg squat, and in lunge position a torsion may be increased. And you may experience shear force, right? So there are many forces acting upon the spine. So prior to engaging your client, you should make sure what exercise of squats you are applying and what forces will be occurred during the squats, right? So let's take one example of axial compression. Now what happens in axial compression? Suppose this is lumbar L5, L4. We do have a disc, intervertebral disc. Right? And in center we have nucleus pulposus. So this is nucleus pulposus, and this blue outer cover is called annulus fibrosus. Right? Now, whenever there is axial compression, whenever there is axial compression. Right? Whenever there is axial compression, this nucleus pulposus will resist the compression, will resist the compression, right? So nucleus pulposus has very main role while squatting. So make sure your client has healthy disc, right, and progressive overload. Don't try to ask your client for 1 rep max in a couple of days, right? Make sure the client progresses. Then there are bending forces or there are torsion forces. Now what happens in bending forces? There is excessive flexion at the lumbar, right? So any excessive flexion or any excessive extension from the neutral spine may build compressive forces, right? So to what you see here, excessive flexion, right? So excessive flexion or excessive extension. What it will do? It will build compressive force. Right? And this force has to be absorbed by your articular surface. This force is absorbed articular surface. If it is not absorbed by articular surface, the cartilage, suppose this is your disc, right? This is your disc here. And we have vertebra down here and vertebra up here. And we do have here nucleus pulposus. So this is your annulus fibrosus. So whenever there will be load onto the your vertebral structure, this nucleus pulposus will start giving this load to the annulus fibrosus. This is the articular surface which is going to absorb the force and diminish the force. Along with that, this facet joint also will help some degree to absorb or reduce the compressive load, right? Now, if the force is too much, if you haven't done the progressive overload, what will happen? This nucleus pulposus will break through this annulus fibrosus, and come out, right? And it will irritate the spine here, irritate the spine, and you will may have some pain syndrome associated with this kind of injury. That is called herniation, disc herniation, right? Now, compressive force, if not absorbed, will convert into the shear force, right? So, if not absorbed, converted into shear force, right? Now, this is what all about flexion. So, any excessive flexion occurs will lead to the higher compressive forces. Now, how some degree of flexion can be prevented, right? By intra-abdominal pressure. We can nicely breathe in prior squatting via nostrils, right? So create intra-abdominal pressure. So this pressure will create ballooning effect, like a ballooning effect onto the spine, and the spine will not go in flexion. The spine will nicely get rested onto the ballooning effect. It won't go in flexion. So this intra-abdominal pressure is creating or playing a role of anti-flexor. This is playing a role of anti-flexor. Right? So make sure prior squatting you breathe nicely to overcome the resistance. Right? Now, what else can be done with this intra-abdominal pressure? When you breathe in nicely, you get your chest up. Right? That is called thoracic extension, which is required or which is must in squatting. So, next benefit is what? Thoracic extension, right? Which is then automatically occurred when you breathe in nicely via nostrils, right? Nostrils are deeper apertures. They can give you nice intra-abdominal pressure. Now, in case of excessive extension, this is very serious condition. Now, any spine from neutral to any 2 degree of extension can build compressive forces. So, increase 2 degree from neutral spine can build compressive forces. Right? Now, what happens when you are going in excessive extension? Your spinal cord is in danger. How? That is ligamentum flavum. Let me explain here. This is vertebral foramen. Spinal canal is here and the spine travels through this. This is the spine. Right? This spine travels. Right? We have a ligament which will resist the flexion. So excessive flexion is resisted by main 2 ligaments. One ligament is present anteriorly. Right? This ligament is called awl. Anterior longitudinal ligament, right? And posteriorly we have flavum, which is arising from here on anterior spine of the vertebral foramen and exactly running behind the spinal cord, right? So this ligament called flavum ligament. These ligaments tend to fold inside in hyperextension. So make sure your client is not doing any excessive extension at the spine, lumbar, or in deadlift, in a kind of deadlift exercise. You shouldn't be asking your client to do the hyperextension. What will happen? This flavum ligament will have a kind of fold onto the spinal cord, because this flavum ligament, which is resisting flexion and which is behind the spinal cord, it is coming closer to the spine and irritating the spine, right? So make sure your client is not in any excessive extension. Is that clear? Okay. Now, these bending forces also managed by two ligaments. Suppose if we are making one ligament here, this is your disc here, right? And we do have nucleus pulposus, and on top of this we do have spinous process, and then we have transverse process, right? And same thing here, we have spinous process, transverse process, and this spinous process, and this is transverse process, and this is your vertebral body, right? Now the interspinous ligament, which is holding these vertebra here, this is called interspinous ligament. This ligament manage the bending forces. This ligament manage the bending forces, right? Now, what else can we study in the factors which we need to take into the consideration after this? The rate of loading. We have understood the type of loading. Let's understand the rate of loading. Some people, some client may tend to go faster in the same phase of squat, and in a same phase they tend to come slow, right? So you have to make sure that that proper punctuation of breathe in, breathe out is understood by your client, and they spend correct time phase in squats, right? So if anything, prolonged loading stays, a client stays in a load for a prolonged time, then that can build compressive forces. Is that clear? Then you have to make sure that age, right? So with age, some people tend to develop degenerative problems, degenerative diseases, right? Spine. Now, if the client have degenerative spine, then what will happen? He will not respond properly for the squats, right? And he may show up some pain syndrome or discomfort, and that may lead to any one of these forces, and your client may get an injury, right? And to understand and to learn more about the squat sciences, deadlift sciences, and the pathologies and injuries, please come to Jello Fitness Institute of India. Thank you.